Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time I'm starting a new series where I'm going through approximately 500 to 600 vintage Pelican paperbacks. Now these came predominantly from the barn find, but from a couple of other recent sources as well. And well, they've been sitting here in my studio and I'm well overdue to start getting them clean. So that's what we're going to start now. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so the Pelican books that I've got, they're not in any order at the moment. They're just going to come as they come, basically. So I've pulled off the first sort of the biggest pile that was basically in the way, and we'll go through these, well, book by book. Some of them like this. This is actually, it's got a little 15 on the front, sometimes with a bit of rubbing and a little bit of liquid, in this case spit. There we go. That on a really reflective laminated surface like that is an easy way to get even ink off. So that's not bad. It's got an indentation, but that'll be fine. So ones like this, which are laminated, which obviously this is a little bit later in time. This is 1963. I'll be able to, once these have all been brushed, I'll be able to polish that one. So that's going to go on a separate pile. However, something like this, which is Pelican number 43, A43, much earlier. In fact, oh, look at this. It's probably published during the war, this one, or just prior to it. And this obviously cannot be polished, but we may be able to save it with a bit of glue. This is actually a 1948 reprint. So that one like that is probably, unfortunately, that's not worth saving. It's a reprint. Pelican collectors are a very fussy bunch because they're so plentiful and they don't sell for a lot. A reprint like that without any sort of historical significance, it's worth keeping as a book, and I will do that because I've got a box of books which are low grade, a box of penguins which are low grade but like reprints or, you know, just a bit too far gone. But it's not going to be one that's going to be worth sort of keeping as a collectible. Here's a 128 now. This one's got some slightly weird spine shenanigans. It's got a real bad spine roll, this one. But it is early. First published April 44, a new edition from 1945. So once again, that is not going to be going in my main sort of run. I will only be putting the firsts in there. Number 418. Now that's got a little 3 shillings on the spine. It's quite a substantial book, but I suppose it was 5 shillings when it was published, which was 1958. No other markings on it, but we don't really want that 3 shillings on the spine here, do we? I wonder if the book got remaindered, maybe. Or possibly this was a second-hand price. Look, it's at the top there as well. Very rare to see a book priced on the spine like this, but at least they did it in pencil. Now, this one obviously, because it's a bit older, we're not able to polish the covers, and I wouldn't want to. I am, however, going to be able to brush it, so that can go in like a separate pile. So we'll have a couple of piles on the go, and we'll see how we get on. Now, this one, quite worn, to be honest, so we'll see how it's looking. I said, if they're a bit too far gone, I'm just going to job lot them. This one is a first print, however, it's damage to the bottom of the spine, a name on the front. As much as it's a fairly decent copy, it's a bit too far gone for a collector, and they are a fussy breed. This one seems okay on the face of it. They're a bit of a darkened spine. This would have had a dust wrapper when it was published, but generally that's okay. On the first face of it, it doesn't look too bad. Let's have a look inside here. This is actually a particularly good series within Pelicans, and there we are. That's a first print from 1939. Apart from it missing its dust wrapper, that's absolutely fine. The Family and Law. Now this one's got some foxing along there and some fading on the spine. It's number 644. Now before I got all of these Pelicans, I used to only collect Pelicans up to number 600. And the ones I've got are pretty nice condition, in all honesty. However, now that I've got so many more, I'm thinking I'll probably go to maybe the first 1,000 or so, or maybe when ISBNs kick in, and then like my other Penguin series, I'll have a few after that. So this is very badly foxed, this one, but it is the first from 1938, and it is number 22, but it's foxed, it's got no wrapper, it's got that marking on the side. It's borderline, it's okay, but even in that condition, it's probably only worth £1, £1.50, something like that. Here's number 24. This one seems on the face of it much better. Urban District Council of Feltham. Sigmund Freud, there he is, looking very serious, isn't he? But when these early Pelicans turn up, and they're in nice dust wrappers like this, they are beautiful books. Now, what printing is this? Yeah, look at that. It's a beautiful copy, but this is actually a 4th print. So once again, as much as it's lovely, I'm going to pop it to one side because that's going to be sort of in my job lot. And that's not a bad thing because I've got so many hundred to get through here. Hundreds and hundreds, about 500 or 600 Pelicans to get through. So I'm obviously not going to be able to do it all in one video, but I'm going to go for a good hour or so and see how many we can get through. I've got an unlimited supply at the moment, so there we go. Now that's the first print. The Basis of Modern Science. That one's absolutely fine. No wrapper, but still fine. 513. And I think the Pelicans actually get very interesting in the 1960s. You get some funky designs in that. And they're certainly, they do change quite a bit. The Consumer Society, oh, 647. This one's got quite a bit of foxing on it, but that's okay. We've not had any, I was going to say until now, we've not had any prices internally to rub out until this very first one here. Now, my own Penguin collection, I've got about half of it stored. The books that I've cleaned up to about number 350 in my own collection. And they're not actually stored in the house here. They're at a friend's house for long-term storage. So what I'm going to do is, once I've got these all cleaned up, I'm going to pull those boxes back because there's about 5 or 6 boxes of my early Pelicans, and I'm going to go through and try and find the best looking examples. And then what I've got left is going to go into my sort of main stock. So that's the plan anyway. Here's a nice early one, number 30. Once again, it's missing its dust wrapper, so we'll see what printing it is as well. It's got the little insert there. Can you write? Yeah, it's the first print. It's a little bit of wear, but definitely worth keeping. This is a thin one, 82. It's got the insert in the back, the paste in, but it is a little rough. And some of these wartime Pelicans are actually really tough to find in nice condition, so that is a first. It's quite grubby, but it is all there, and it is amongst the sort of scarcest period, so it's worth keeping that one. 271, so right in the middle here. This is like, what, late 40s, early 50s, I would think. What was that there? Someone had a little bookmark. Yeah, just a scrap of paper. That might be handy for us later on. 1953. Child Care and the Growth of Love. We will definitely be seeing some doubles, some duplicates as we work our way through. Maybe not in this video, there may be the odd duplicate, but we've got so many to get through. It's going to, we'll see them all. I think there's a full run. I know there's numbers 1 and 2 in here, and a lot of the very other early ones. And from what I can remember, the copies were really nice as well, but they are completely mixed up. So that's why they need a thorough going through. And these were overdue, I'm telling you that. Now, this is another one which is got a laminated jacket, and it's got 20p there, but it's written in pen. So one of my little tricks, and I used to do this when I picked up annuals, kids' annuals, because they were all heavily laminated, was just to wet my finger and dab it on there like that. And then sometimes the rubber would lift off the pen, as you can see there. It just takes a little bit of dampness, and I don't know what it does. It maybe makes it slightly more aggressive or something like that. So it's almost gone. Do it again. You'll never get rid of the indentation, of course, but at least, looking at that, most of the ink has come off there. This is a later one, so I will be able to give it a proper polish towards the end, and that's going to be absolutely fine, that one. Right, next little wedge here. Oh, blimey, boys and sex, steady on. And this is really late, this is an ISBN. So I don't tend to keep ISBN Pelicans at all unless it's a subject that I'm actually interested in. So this is 1970, so it's right on the cusp of when ISBNs came in. I mean, I'll take the little 15p out, but to be honest, it's not going to be one that I'm going to want to keep or have in stock. So it can go in my secondary pile down there. Culture and Society. Now that's got 20p, but it's 20p in pencil, so we shouldn't need to do anything too severe to get that off. Once again, it's got a laminated cover. Yeah, that seems okay. So last year, when I did buy a big collection from my friend Matt, who was selling them on behalf of his granddad. Do you remember they all had where he bought them in the bottom corner, in pencil, thankfully. So it involved a lot of work. Oh, look at that. A little bookshop. The bookshop, 9 Market Street, Kirby in Westmoreland. That's quite early because look at the telephone number. Westmoreland 294. It's interesting. I'll keep that in my ephemera because I have bookmarked ephemera. So what was I saying? Yeah, so my friend Matt, so he was, his granddad lived in France, and it was getting on a bit, so they really needed to start selling his penguin collection, which was extensive. So what they did, I gave Matt the best help I could with regards disposing of it, and I had a fair bit myself, of course, certainly the more later penguins, because it was just what I was looking for, really, was a nice run of books from, say, 1,000 to 3,000, which were definitely in there. But what he did have, and I'm assuming he's still got them, to the best of my knowledge, he had Pelicans 1 to 1,000. So the first 1,000 Pelican books, which obviously take up an awful lot of room. But I didn't go for it because it was sort of past my period of wanting to collect them. We'll have to do a number on that again by the look of it. It was past my sort of period where I wanted to be collecting them, so I didn't bother. And this one, I think, yeah, look, it's got some underlining in. That's no good. That is, unfortunately, a bit of a fault, so we'll put that to one side. Genetics, 179. There we are, that's the first, 1948. Reasonably decent copy. I mean, it's worth keeping, that one. Here's another one. Much better condition. So we'll see how this one holds up. Yeah, that's the same printing, but a much more robust and cleaner copy. And that's what I'll really be looking for when I sort of go through mine. I know this one's scarce. Yeah, number 104, by the looks of it, Britain, BC. This is a wartime one. It may even be a shorty. Let's have a look. No, it's the right size. Some of these, I know one called Explosives is a shorty. And by that I mean it was printed in a different printers and they didn't have the correct dimensions. So the book is shorter than the rest of them. But this is a wartime first. Look at that, 1943. So it's that very, very scarce period in history, penguin history, where the books were being published whilst Britain was being battered during the Blitz and the Battle of Britain prior to D-Day. So books that were published at that time are amongst the scarcest penguins of all, particularly in tip-top condition. I mean, they're almost impossible to find in nice condition. They are out there, but it's almost a lifetime's job. You're constantly sort of upgrading the wartime issues, but that's what makes collecting penguins fun, and that is tough. I'll tell you that one. Right, much more recent now, number 700, and it's still numbered. I don't know when the numbering stops on Pelicans, so I should be looking at that quite keenly. But this is number 700, so we'll see when this one is dated. 1966. So I reckon we could probably get to at least 800, I think, in the numbered section. It's got a name and address inside, but apart from that, it's actually very, very nice. So we'll definitely be keeping that one. Britain under the Romans, 134. A little bit grubby. Yeah, first published 1945. That seems absolutely fine. It's just got a little bit of the spine coming away there. So I think we'll try and get the glue in action. We haven't needed to use it today. So it's always a bit of a, I use this bit of scrap of paper, always a bit of an unknown if we're going to be able to get it going straight off the bat. And we have today, which is good news. So I'm just going to put some glue in the trench there. And I honestly can't remember the last time I had a decent batch of Pelicans to clean up like this. It must have been at least a couple of years ago. Certainly on the channel, the last ones I did were my own collection, which isn't bad. It's not a bad collection by any means, but there are certainly some that are going to benefit from an upgrade. And I'm sure there'll be upgrades in what we've got here with me in the studio, you know. Right, well, hopefully that'll keep that one together. Let's get another little wedge here. Animals Without Backbones. That's a nice copy of number 187. Very, very clean. Nice bright pages. Yeah, 1951 at first. That is ideally how you want them. Beautiful like that. Sadly, that's not always the case. The World's Wealth, 173. But you have to remember these were often being bought as like textbooks or students. They were meant to be used like that, you know. But that's still okay. It's robust. It's just a little bit foxed, but it's okay. Check your own IQ. 656. Looks like it's untouched, which is good news. Yeah. There we are. That's all right. Some of these just need a decent clean or polish. Beyond the Gospels. That's got a 5p on the front there. So we'll get that off initially. (1957). Quite a windy and wet day today here in the UK. Population of Britain, a double volume, so you get the two Pelicans side by side of the logo. Yep, got the name inside, but apart from that, he's okay. This one looks a bit worn. It's 832 and it's numbered, so it's a very late numbered one. But it has got that tear on the front where there was a sticker and it's been pulled right off. And apart from that, it is grubby, so let's see what it's like inside. Yeah, first, 1966. It's not one that I've ever seen before, probably because it's a later one. So we'll give it a polish and we'll see what it's looking like after that. But at the moment, the jury's out. Now, this one's interesting because it's got that big sticker on the front, so it could well be that this is possibly a reprint. Unfortunately, the number is missing at the bottom of the spine, but it is a scarce wartime issue. But having the number missing is quite a major defect on these. But it is the scarce period. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, 1944, the absolute hardest part. So I think because this is from the scarce period, I am going to keep it, even though he's a little bit low grade. It's sort of to be expected with these, in all honesty. And it's very interesting to have the over sticker price there. That's also very, very unusual. So I might end up keeping that one myself as like a little variant. The Inventor in His World. So this is quite worn. Quite worn, this. I think this is already feels too far gone. But we'll just have a flick through, because you just never know with some of these things what might be inside, or if the book is signed or something like that. But it's very, you can see it's just, it doesn't matter what printing this is, it's not going to stay in with the main stock. It's just too far gone. I'm just curious. It is the first, but it's just, as you can see, yeah, a bit too far gone. Right, let's pull this little pile here. Consumer's Guide to the British Social Services, 871. So I wonder if they do go up to 1000 in the numbered series. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head. (1967). I think they probably must do. And that's absolutely fine. It just needs a polish. Another version of Know Your Own IQ. That other one was Check Your Own IQ. So this is the one that came before it. Once again, it appears unused, which is good. Now the answers weirdly are at the front. That's crazy, isn't it? That's unusual. Where's the start of the book then? Here we are. Look at that! I didn't realise the answers are really at the start, and the printing information. There we are. Is a few pages in. Quite unusual, that. Not the greatest of copies, but we'll keep it there for now. The Inventor in His World, 178. That was the same book again, wasn't it? But a better copy this time. That's what I mean when I say that these Pelicans are very, very common, and it's just not worth keeping the low grade ones. They're just not worth it. They're great as books in themselves, but they're not worth. They're not collectibles per se. There's always better ones out there, so you can afford to be picky with Pelican and wait for real nice ones. That one's borderline, but it's just about okay. New Horizons in Psychiatry. Now this has got some spine roll straight off the bat. It's a later one, and these really do need to be in nice condition to really warrant it. And look at that, it's got that tear out the front as well. So that one, unfortunately, there's just too many faults to make that worth keeping in the main run here. And we will have another run through these. If some of these don't clean up well enough, they'll be in the reject pile. We are only going to keep the best of the best. Right, the Waste Makers, Vance Packard. Look at that little bin there. 589. Yeah, 1963. That one's okay. Aquinas, 349. It seems quite tight. Yeah, that one's okay. Let's grab this other pile. It looks like there's a few earlier ones in wrappers here. Personality of Animals. A little bit on the worn side, this one. It is a first, but he's quite worn, to be honest. Take out the 10p there. It's borderline, let's put it that way. Right, History of the English Peoples, number 50. No dust wrapper, which it would have been issued with. But apart from that, he's okay, that one. Now this one is in a dust wrapper, number 22. So we'll check the printing of it. My first suspicion is it's probably a first, based on the other books that are on the back. Yeah, it's a first print. what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the dust wrapper off it, for starters. A little bit of wear there, but not too bad. We'll take the pencil out the back, and what I'm going to do with these ones in a wrapper, I shall brush them and put the wrapper back on, so then they won't need brushing at the end because they've already been done. But it's best to brush these with the wrappers actually off rather than on. So I've got my brush here. It's not perfect, but at least it has actually got a wrapper. As I said, we'll brush all the rest of these and polish them in a bit. So we'll do them as we go along. So that can go onto another pile. Right, here's another one in a wrapper, but the dust wrapper is completely shot. You can see there's huge pieces of it missing. So this one immediately is better off out of the dust wrapper. And then hopefully what we're left with is a reasonably robust copy of the book, which is what we have. It's got some silverfish damage down there. Not the end of the world, that. Very, very foxed. It is a first, so sadly these elements of the dust wrapper are just not worth keeping. In this particular case, they're too far gone, so they have to go to one side. The book itself is, it is very, very toned, and I think the pages have got a bit brittle, so this would imply that the book has been stored somewhere very, very hot, but it is number 15 after all. So that we can just brush with the rest of them in a minute, since we've taken the dust wrapper off. Right, here we are, History of the English People, Book 1. Now look at that, 6 volumes for £2. That would have been a pretty good price. Whoever bought these, if they bought volumes 1 to 6 for £2, because this is a good series, this. Very, very readable. This is Pelican number 9. It would have had a wrapper, of course. This one sadly does not. And it is, look at that, sadly it's a reprint, which is a shame, because that was a reasonable copy. But that can go in the reprint pile. Here's a nice bright one, look at that, number 44. Thinking to Some Purpose. Looks like a particularly bright copy, this one. Is it a first? It is. So let's slide it out of the dust wrapper, which isn't bad. A few little slits, but not too bad, that one. And underneath, look at that, what a beauty. What a beauty that is. If only they were all like that. And this had actually £3 inside, which whoever bought this for £3 certainly paid that's top end for this, you know. Even one in, I'm probably going to sell it at £3 as a specialist, you know. That's a nice copy of that one. There we are, so that can go with the dust wrappered ones. Right, Earl of the Chaldees. Now this did get re-released as a Penguin Forces book club. Another one in a wrapper. This is obviously not the Forces book club edition. They've got a different sort of style of cover, and that's actually this must have come from the dealer Brian Kesterton, and I know that because I recognise his handwriting inside. That was how he did it. So VG Plus in sturdy dust wrapper, something like that. Nice copy. Yeah, first 1938. Very nice, tight, probably unread example of that one, I would say. I do miss Brian, he was such a nice chap. When I'd started collecting in the 90s, he would send a catalogue out. And then you just had to phone your order through, and it was basically whoever got in first would generally get the rarities. but he was very knowledgeable and just an all-round really nice guy. I met him once and he was great, but yeah, he sadly passed away quite some time ago now. Anyway, there we are. So I am going to take a short break and I'll be straight back. Okay, so we've got The Size of the Universe, and this has got some staining, which is a shame. Number 193. Not sure what that is, a coffee or tea or something. It's a first. It may be under consideration, shall we say. The World's Wealth, 173. Now this has got a rub on the front, which has actually taken off some of the title, which is once again quite a serious defect. It's a first. It's going to be borderline. Right. That's got something on the front there, a little bit of ink of something. 506. Lovely, 1961. Right. See if we can do anything with the rubber on that one. Not really sure what it is. Maybe a little blotch of ink, but I think we got a little bit of it off. And obviously that's going to be polished. But the Pelican History of the Church, a little sub-series within the series. Shaking of the Foundations, 588. Yeah, that's okay. Accident Black Spot. Does your eyes in that one, doesn't it? Number 820, so fairly late numbered one. It's 1966. Yeah, 66. Bit of naming in the front, but generally it's okay. It has got the spine roll on it. So once again, that's another one which is going to be a little bit borderline. I'm going to have another, I'll clean it up, and once I've been through these, I'm going to have another little purge to really just keep the absolute creme de la creme. Particularly with Pelicans, it is as simple as that. Often you see dealers knock these out at like £1 or £2 on a catalogue. They just say all Pelicans across the board, you know, in VG or better condition, and they're like 150 or something like that, and you can sort of fill your boots a little bit. Through that method, I've been able to get all the sort of scarcer wartime ones that I was ever short of, but that was prior to getting so many myself. So I think there are big collections of these out there, certainly. I think the biggest drawback is, have you got room for them? That is the biggest drawback of all, because it's yet another huge run of books to collect. 155, British music of our time. (1946). Yeah, not perfect, but not too bad. And Prehistoric Britain. This is a scarcer one, number 115, and a pretty bright copy of this. Let's see what it's like all the way through. Once again, better than average. Yep, 1943. That's a pretty nice copy of that one. See that? These are amongst the scarcest, and I would say the Pelicans that you could charge a little bit more for, because they are so scarce. And that's a really nice copy of that one. That'll probably end up in my own collection, I reckon. Here's another copy of Britain BC. We saw one earlier. This one's, once again, on the face of it, really above average. Much better than we've seen. Yeah, look at that. Quite white pages as well. Yeah, February 1943. That's another very nice copy indeed, that. Right, it's got the previous owner's name inside, but of Helen F. McTavish. But boy, oh boy, what a that's as good as they sort of come, really, from that period. Narrative poems, late 19th century. 118, once again. Scarce period, pretty nice copy of this. I think I'm going to be doing quite a bit of upgrading, you know. Yeah, it's funny. I think these, Mrs. McTavish again, I think these all came from the same place. They're all together. I don't know how they've managed to all stay together in my piles here, but I'm not complaining. The only thing about this one is it's slightly miscut on the top, but on the face of it, and that's just a result of wartime paper conditions. It missed the trim a little bit, but these things happen. Now here's the shorty. You can see, you compare it to a regular Pelican. Look at that. Look how short it is. Look at that. It's about a centimetre, isn't it? And the cover is more cardboard rather than like paper. It's very, very unusual. This is a pretty nice copy of Explosives, although it is going to need re-gluing. But for some reason, these ones that were printed like this, they're much more susceptible to getting foxed. So let's put a little brush in there, a little bit of debris. And then I'm going to glue it. Hopefully my glue hasn't dried up while we've been yabbering away. Right, so what I've done, I've just got a little, like a skewer gone in the top there, which generally sorts the glue out. So I'm hoping now that we are. Yeah, we're actually able to get some glue out. So hopefully problem resolved. And we've been quite generous there because the entire spine was out. But definitely worth saving this one. It's much better than average. I said these particular ones, these shorties, and there's several in the Penguin list, generally fox up because of the sort of paper that they were printed on. They're not regular Penguins per se. They're not printed in the regular printers. As I said, I think it got moved out of the regular printers because of what was happening. So that's what happened. Right, here's a nice early one, number 31, My Apprenticeship 1, in a dust wrapper. So let's have a look. It looks on the face of it, really nice copy. Oh, but it's got a page loose. That's a shame. Still might be able to save it though. Yeah, like the first few pages are loose. What a shame. And it is a first. So let's get it out of the wrapper. This one's another one that had £3 on. Let's see how bad it really is. Yeah, see, these should be just under that bit of gauze there, you see? See that there? This is where they should be, and for some reason that glue has come away. So let's take the £3 out. The thing is, it's such a nice copy. And a first. All we need to do is just glue those bits back in, and I think they probably will stay there. We just need to put some glue in. So let's just clean the edge a minute. Not a lot of glue, but just a smidgen underneath the gauze. I think this is going to be enough, you know. It was ultimately only 2 pages, so it's not the end of the world. We'll just dab that down. not forgetting that this glue does dry completely clear, so you won't see it once it's dried out. Now it's ever so slightly come over the top of the edge, but in all honesty, that's a very, very nice copy, that, even with a couple of pages loose. And the early ones, the pre-war ones, you want them super nice like that, so we'll delicately slip it back into its wrapper, hopefully without taking the pages out. And over time that'll seal up quite nicely, and I suspect this is another one that I will end up keeping. That's very nice. Right, here's another copy of Introducing Shakespeare, also in a dust wrapper, although the dust wrapper is torn and quite dirty and grubby. When they're like that, it's not like it's a rare crime. Those books are better off out of their wrappers. But apart from that, it's absolutely fine. This is another one that was charged £3 for. But the wrapper actually brings that book down, so I'm not going to keep it with it. Right, The Stars in Their Courses, number 59. Once again, no wrapper on this one. And little remnants of a wrapper, and it's got a spine roll. So that was a bit of the wrapper that was saved, so when used as a bookmark. But it is quite spine rolled, so it's not sitting very flat. So it's a borderline. But it's a first. So we'll save it for now. History of the Jewish People, 662. Now that's got some staining along the top edge, like some coffee spilt on it. And look at that down the spine. Look at that, the page edge. Oh, and it feels rough as well, sadly. This is one I definitely haven't got. But this has been through the wars a little bit, and he's a bit too far gone to be a collector's copy, but still absolutely fine to read. So I will pop that in the sort of the secondary pile. Right, here's another scarce one, but it's missing the number at the bottom, and it may just be a little bit too far gone to warrant saving, sadly. Yeah, 1944. It's the very scarce period, number 139. I am loathed. I'm going to keep it for now because it's the scarce run, but it's probably going to end up in a job lot of some sort. Here's another copy of History of the English People, number 3. Pelican 30, in a wrapper. So we'll take it out of the wrapper. And interestingly, it's one of those ones where the blue seems to have faded out of it and it's become more green or lime. A few little marks at the back there. Apart from that, he's all right. So I did spot, just for some reason, someone has made a little, maybe the ones that they've got, they were keeping a little track of their collection. So they made a few little pencil annotations, but that's okay. We'll let them off this once, back in 1938. Which is, I think, when this was published, wasn't it? Yeah, 1938, look at that. But that is, once again, a very, very nice copy. So we'll give it the brush now, before putting the dust wrapper back on. And count ourselves lucky on that. Yeah, that's all right. Right, The Psychology of Human Aging. This is, on the face of it, a little bit worn. Got a few marks and stains and stuff, and then the spine, very, very creased up. I don't really know people who want these sorts of ones unless they're in absolute mint condition. It's got a couple of pen marks there. See, even for me with these later Pelicans, unless they're mint, I just don't want them, and I'm not that picky. So this is once again going to go. It's a bit too worn and grubby, so it's going to go in the reject pile for now. Right, Civilization number 28. Now it's in a wrapper, but the wrapper does appear to be a little the worse for wear. Once again, £3. So I wonder if whoever bought these bought a load at £3 a book. Yeah, sadly the wrapper is a little bit worn, a little bit too far worn. Whereas the book itself, pretty nice that. I'm pretty confident this is a first as well, because it just lists the first 30 Pelicans on the back. Yeah, there we are. But we'll take out that little £3, and I think this book is, once again, it's better off out of its dust wrapper. The dust wrapper just brings it down a bit too far. It's borderline, but yeah, there's as I said, all of these, there's nice examples out there if you're just patient. So that one is going to go to one side for now. Right, last little pile we got here, The Nature of Politics, 736. And then we're going to start brushing and polishing to finish off the video. There we are. That's okay. A bit grubby, but hopefully that'll clean up a bit. So I hope you've enjoyed going through these Pelicans. Certainly it's nice to vary it. You know, I've still got stacks and stacks of main series to do. And some I have already filmed, you know, back in last year. I just haven't edited them yet. But I am trying to get on top of things, and I am slowly making progress. It's just the last thing I really need at the moment is another big book collection coming my way. Now that one's borderline because it's very, very fox, but I think it might just make the cut. Recorded Jazz, a critical guide, 417. Yes, the last thing I need is another big collection to come my way, really, because I haven't really got room for it, and I'm still behind on the last lot. You know, I've still got quite a lot of work to do because I bought basically an entire Penguin collection across all series. That one's okay, a bit grubby. Once again, he may get pulled at the second walkthrough. Now, well, A1070. So there we are. So we definitely have got post 1000 in a numerical system. They certainly won't be on my priority list, but if they're nice like that, I probably will end up keeping it. I always really like that cover there with Paul Newman from The Hustler. This is an ISBN. 1971, so yeah, right on the cusp of the later ISBNs, but that's one I've got. I actually really like the film The Hustler and its sequel, The Colour of Money, by Martin Scorsese. Right, Daily Life in Ancient Rome. We saw that earlier, didn't we? Right at the start. Another copy. I said we'll get a few duplicates. It's inevitable. A little bit of spine wear. Let's get this 1 and 6 off the front. It is a bit grubby, this, to be honest, on the face of it. Yeah, big circle there where someone's rested their coffee mug on it. How very dare they, eh? But it is what it is. 35p inside in pen. So we'll see how we get on with that one. The jury's out. This is another ISBN, managers and their wives. A few spine creases. And it's an ISBN one, so past my real period of collecting. 1972, that one. Just going to put the lid back on this glue. Right. Comparative Religion, number 89. A approaching the scarce period. This you can tell because the paper quality goes markedly downhill. You can almost see through it. 1941. Yeah. Is that £7? Surely not. Although it is the scarce period, but no Pelican is worth that. Right. Well, we just put the glue away, and it looks like we need to get it out again because that block has come away. Still, we can do that. Here we are, and thankfully it's not stuck this time. We've got about half a dozen or so to go, and then I'm going to start. I'll get them brushed and then polished. And that'll be a good start. It'll be like a stack and a half that we've done today, which isn't bad. I haven't really got anywhere I can stick these for the time being. So I have got an empty box, so I'm going to just put them in the empty box for now until I've sorted a few more out and made a bit more room here in the studio. But I just had a real desire to get some Pelicans clean. So I'm glad we made we've dipped our toe in, as it were, and got the start of these being processed, because it's going to be a long job. It's as simple as that. But not an unenjoyable job. I do like Pelicans. There we are, 1959. It's got a vintage 7 shillings in the corner here, by the look of it. There we are, a few little blotches and stuff, but it is what it is. Not too bad, not too bad. Thin one here, The Scientific Attitude, 84. Yeah, that's really nice, that. Medieval Power, look, number 19. Oh, look, the top of the dust wrapper is missing. Back of the dust wrapper is frayed, so we're going to take this one out. Unfortunately, he's a bit too far gone. Not unusual. That's the back of the dust wrapper flap. Yeah, first print. Now there's someone's put very faintly, first peng in dust wrapper, £1.50. Well, I said if this was mine, which it now is, I wouldn't have kept the dust wrapper with it, which is why we've taken it off, because it's not up to scratch. And then there was another £1 inside. There we are, but that looks much better. It's ready for its run. Right, After the Deluge, number 18. And look at the condition of this. This is what you want. And it's a first. Oh, but look, it's got writing in the front. What a spoiler. Very, very nice sharp dust wrapper. And a sharp copy of the book. Probably unread. But what's this say at the front here? Something of the church, village, school, lane. Bought at something or others in Cambridge. Looks like to be paid for after a cup of coffee around the town. Oh, quite a nice little inscription, that. There we are. But a very, very nice copy, that one. That's how you want them. Real sharp and ideally unread. Not something that turns up that frequently like that. But they're the good ones. They're the ones that actually do fetch a few pounds, you know, when they're like that sort of nice sharpness, bright and white. Very, very nice. Right, we've got 3 more to get through. Lord Shaftesbury, another one in a dust wrapper. Oh, look at that. A vintage James Thin bookmark. I haven't got that one. In Edinburgh. There was a chain of booksellers, James Thin. Doesn't give me an idea of its age. Sometimes you can tell from the telephone number. I think that's probably a 60s one, but that's two dust wrappers, two bookmarks rather, today, which is always good. Let's slide it out of the wrapper. £5 in this one, wow. But a first from 1939, and not pristine, but still very nice. The dust wrapper's got a few little marks on it, but just about scrapes by. A little bit missing from the bottom, but just about. It's good enough to save, let's put it that way. Right, just two more to do today before we start brushing. So here's the Great Victorians Book 2. There's a bit of pen up there, but it's not a laminated jacket, so there's nothing we can do. But it is the first from 1938. And then the last one we'll do today is another early one, number 7. Look at that, Essays in Popular Science. It lists the first 10 on the back, which is encouraging. It makes me think this is a first print. Very, very nice, robust dust wrapper. Gleaming underneath. So what a nice one to end on. First print, 1937. What a beauty. Not a mark on it. Not a mark on it. That's been bought from new and beautifully saved. So that is how you really want them, isn't it? You know, that is how you'd like them. Oh, what am I doing? I need to just quickly brush the top. There we are. I can go back in its wrapper now. So, excellent stuff. So the final step then, I'm going to brush the books we haven't brushed yet. And then we've got a small pile here, which are going to need polishing as well. So that I shall do right now. Right, so these are the earlier books which can't be polished, but they can be brushed. Ordinarily, of course, I'd be doing this outside the studio, but sadly, the weather is awful, still been awful. The start of 2026 has just not been great. Lots of rain in Britain. So, having to do it here in the studio. I don't really like doing it in an enclosed environment like this, but I've got no choice. I do keep the studio very clean. I've got a Hoover in here with me, so usually after a cleaning video, or rather, once the dust has settled, then I'll come in and do a bit of a Hoover, particularly if I've been doing lots of rubbing outs. You may have seen the recent video I did on the natural history of Selborne, and that's, you know, just the first part of the very long saga to get those two books cleaned. But boy, oh boy, I did some rubbing that day, I can tell you. But that's fine. Yeah, a bit of a peppery top of the spines. That's usual, sadly, with these. Right, that's all of those ones, and we cannot do any more to those because they've got the matte covers, so they can't be polished or anything like that. However, we have got these ones here, which are much later, printed later, so these can be polished and hopefully buffed up to look as good as possible. So we'll do those now, and then we're going to get the old Mr. Sheen into action. Bit too many there. There we are. Right, let's make a little bit of room now, and we'll get polishing. Right, so I've got my Mr. Sheen here. Found a clean bit of cloth, although this one's going in the wash after today because it's pretty dirty now. It's seen a bit of action, and if I decide to keep some of these, it's very much going to depend on how they do scrub up, as it were, after a bit of a polish. So we shall see. We shall see. Like this one, for example, you know, it was pretty rough. And that staining, look at that. It's pretty serious. The author's name is completely faded on the spine, but it is generally a fairly robust copy. It's just aged really badly. It's like 65 years old, and it's just not the greatest of copies. Whereas some of these are absolutely fine. And this little polish will really bring them up to a nice sort of collector's standard, really, you know. And that's what we're looking to do here, if we can. Yeah, quite a bit of dust on these, but it's coming up all right. This one's been saved, and actually looks, yeah, a real nice copy now. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, see, I can feel quite a bit of dirt coming off these. And when I look at my cloth, look at that. Loads. We've only done 4 books. It's mad, isn't it? But we're okay. We're okay. Plenty of clean cloth left. I have to remember that in a lot of cases, these were stored in a barn. Most of this has come from the recent barn find. As I said, none came from the collection I bought last year because I didn't buy any. But, he's still got those 1,000 books. So when books are stored in a barn over a period of 20 years, they age. It's as simple as that. They don't remain tip-top shape. It's just impossible. Even though these were very well protected, they're in banana boxes or banker boxes, and they weren't bagged or wrapped or anything, but they were protected. It's just, in a way, it's the natural aging process. They were in a barn, and the barn flooded, and obviously the books weren't in the water or anything like that, but they were in a room, which I guess for a while was probably like a swimming pool until the water subsided. They were obviously raised above it, and they would have been stored in a damp environment and an outside environment. And I think over time, this is what books that are stored in a garage, this is probably what happens to them, which is why ideally you should never store books in a garage. I could solve all my problems by storing my book collection in comic boxes in my door's garage, which is a huge garage, doesn't use it. There'd be room to store, 200 comic boxes full of books. But over time, they would be like this. That's no good. They need to be inside, or like in the studio here, in a temperature-controlled environment with dehumidifiers on because it's outside, and basically being monitored all the time. That is really the only way to sort of store books. But ideally, inside, on a shelf, and even then, bagged up if you can face doing it. Look at this spine. Can it be saved? A little bit. Taking a bit of elbow grease here. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be better than what it was. I'm not sure what it was. It was partly nicotine and aging. Look at that. That's horrific, isn't it? So it's saved it to a degree. It's not perfect, but I think it will live to fight another day. Cool, we're getting through the cloth today, but I'm confident we've got enough just to do. We've got about another 15 or so books to polish up, which is fine. I feel we've made a good start today. As I said, I'm really consciously trying to mix up the books that I clean so that it doesn't become all just Penguin main series books, because that would get a bit boring, and it's the only reason it's like that is because those are the books that I have been coming my way. Now, you may have noticed over on my other channel, the main channel, that I've done my recent pickups video, and that's a 3-hour video where I clean all my latest pickups from publishers right around the world. Loads of American ones. It's a massive variety with maybe 20 Penguin books. So out of all the books, and it's a 3-hour video. So I do recommend you go over and have a look at that one, because there's some fantastic cleaning action to be enjoyed. I can assure you of that. Now, I did hear recently from another collector that there is a Pelican specialist in the UK. I'm sure he's in the UK. And he's a chap called Paul Lickiss. I've never met him, to my knowledge. I've never spoken to him, but if he's watching this video, I would like him to get in touch, because apparently he has about 10,000 Pelicans. Can you imagine that? 10,000. I mean, that's phenomenal. I guess he must collect like reprints and all the foreign editions and well into ISBN. So just amazing. 10,000 Pelicans. But yeah, I'm pleased to say that these are actually coming up quite nicely on the whole. I know this is one, that was another one that was a bit on the borderline because of the ripped cover. Spine seems reasonably sharp, but this does look a bit rough. Yeah, it's not really cleaned up as well as I'd like, this one. It's, you know, it's still on the borderline. I can't make my mind up. Cannot make my mind up. Right, let's try and find some clean cloth again. We are working our way through it today, but that's okay. Yeah, see, a lot of that gunk does come off with a bit of polish. It really does. And it makes the books much more presentable. Look at it. It's nicotine. That's what that is. That's nicotine. It's from when people used to smoke a hell of a lot more than they do today. And the nicotine would stick to spines. You see it so often. But thankfully, a bit of Mr. Sheen can work wonders and can do the trick. Here's another one that looks a bit nicotined up, to be honest. It's hard to tell. Much easier to tell on the regular Penguin books. But there's that one there. Yeah. Right. Well, I'm going to go over to this side. And of course, when you're a book collector, particularly when you've got so many books, the spines need to be blimmin' nice, because that's, in a lot of cases, that's all you're going to get to see is the spines. This is another one which has got quite a nasty yellowy spine, which I suspect we'll be able to do quite well with. Yeah, not all the blotches, but a lot of the blotches are coming up there. Yeah, we've not done too badly there. That was one book. It's almost like you can't believe it. Now this one is, I think, maybe, I don't know whether we'll be able to save this. It's not great, this one. Just absolutely appalling amounts of dirt on it, front and back. You gotta wonder where these things were stored, like, you know? Look at that, that's mental. Right, about half a dozen to go. So, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I've certainly enjoyed going through these Pelicans, and I shall work these into my rotation of stuff that I'm cleaning on a regular basis. So you're going to see at least one of these once a month at the moment, until they're all done and dusted. I said I started this process today, and I think there's 600 or 700, between 500 and 700. It's so difficult to tell. I don't even know how many we've done today. Let's have a little counter, roughly. 35. We've really only done about 80 books today. I don't think we've done 100. I've rejected about 10. That nicotine again. I've rejected about 10 books which were too far gone, and I suspect that some of these are going to end up also being rejected as being a bit too long in the tooth to be saved. But I don't want to. I won't chuck any of them away unless they're absolutely falling to bits, because I'll just put them into a big job lot, stick them on eBay, and someone can, buy them for their content or just for their aesthetic appeal, which is something that people most definitely do with old pelicans and penguins and that. They like to fill their shelves up with them because they just look so good, even low grade ones, And let's be honest, you'll then never be short of something to read. Okay. Accident black spot. Okay. Obviously, if you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it that thumbs up. And if you haven't already, do please hit the subscribe button. You can join as a channel member, that you may have seen earlier in the video. But you have to join on my main channel, the Jules Burt channel. But credits will appear on these as well, and that you will be directly helping the channel stay afloat. And you can join from as little as £1 or $1 a month. So it's very, very cheap. It gives you access to a unique members-only video each week, which varies in length, but hopefully are of interest, usually book-related. So you get an exclusive video every week, and early access to all my sales videos as well. So when I have a sale, you get first picks, basically. So that, for a lot of people, is worth the membership alone, just to get that first access. And as I said, you are keeping the channel afloat, so it's all good stuff. So do consider joining as a member, because it really genuinely helps. You can do that on Patreon. Just look up Jules Burt, which is the best way of doing it, because as a creator I get more. Or you can do it through YouTube channel memberships, should you want to do it that way. Anyway, that is it for this week. I'm not 100% sure what's going to be next week's video. I believe it may be the next part of Selborne, possibly, if I've done it by then. We'll have to wait and see. But as I said, so for a nice varied load of brand new cleaning stuff, check out that latest video on my channel, where you've got almost 3 hours of a real mixture of fantastic vintage books being cleaned. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.